After defeating Marcus Hale and also surviving the whole storm and battle, Jonathan and Rachel finally found peace on their honeymoon. But one urgent phone call turned their joy into a battle for life, and what happened next will shock you. Stay tuned because you are about to watch a beautiful story and find out what happened next. Hello, family. Welcome to Tales Haven. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel for more beautiful stories. Thank you as you do so. Sit back, relax as we dive into the story. After all the storms and battles, Jonathan finally gave Rachel the one thing she had longed for: peace. Marcus Hale was defeated, his lies crushed, and those who once mocked Rachel now saw the truth. The world had watched their love stand strong. It was the perfect time to leave everything behind and breathe freely. Jonathan chose Santorini for their honeymoon. The island looked like a painting: white houses climbing the cliffs, blue domes shining under the Greek sun, and the sea stretching endlessly like glass. For days, Rachel felt like she was living in a dream. They walked along narrow streets hand in hand, ate fresh bread with olives and cheese, and watched the sky change into golden fire every evening. One night, Jonathan wrapped his arms around her as they stood on their balcony. "This is how it should always be," he whispered, his voice soft with relief. Rachel leaned her head on his chest. "I never thought happiness could feel this simple." For the first time in months, they laughed without fear, loved without distraction, and held each other without the weight of whispers. The world outside felt far away. On the third morning, just as they were preparing to go on a boat ride, Jonathan's phone rang. He almost ignored it, thinking it was another congratulatory call, but the screen showed the housekeeper's name. He answered quickly. "Sir." The housekeeper's voice shook. "It's Evelyn. She collapsed this morning. We called an ambulance. She's in the hospital. The doctors say it's her kidneys. It's very serious." Jonathan froze. The phone slipped in his hand, and his breath caught.
"What?"
No, that can't be." Rachel hurried to him, her face pale. "Jonathan, what's wrong?" He looked at her with eyes full of fear. "It's Evelyn. She's in the hospital. They say it's her kidneys." Rachel felt her knees weaken. "Oh, Jonathan?" Jonathan's voice broke. "We have to go. Now." Within hours, they were on a private flight back to New York. Neither of them spoke much during the long journey. Jonathan stared out the window, his hands clenched so tightly his knuckles turned white. Rachel placed her hand gently over his, whispering, "She'll be okay. We'll fight this together." But Jonathan's silence spoke louder than words. For the first time since they defeated Marcus Hale, he looked powerless, not against rumors or enemies this time, but against something he could not control. When the plane landed, a car rushed them straight to the hospital. And there, as they walked into the sterile white hallway, Jonathan's heart sank at the sight before him. Evelyn lay in a hospital bed, pale and fragile, wires and machines surrounding her. She looked smaller than he had ever seen her, weaker than he wanted to believe. "Mom," Jonathan whispered, his voice breaking as he rushed to her side. Her eyes fluttered open. She gave a faint smile when she saw him. "You came?" Rachel's eyes filled with tears. She gently took Evelyn's hand. "We came, Mama. We're here." The doctor stepped forward, his face serious. "Jonathan, Rachel, we need to talk. Evelyn's kidneys are failing. Without a transplant, she won't survive." Jonathan's chest tightened. The honeymoon, the joy, the peace, it all disappeared. In its place was a storm heavier than any rumor they had ever faced. The doctor spoke plainly. "Dialysis can help for now, but a transplant is the best chance. We need a donor as soon as possible." Jonathan didn't sit. "Test me first." A nurse drew blood from Jonathan's arm. Rachel held Evelyn's hand and kept her voice soft. "Breathe with me and out good." The monitor hummed beside the bed. Outside the window, night pressed against the glass like a heavy curtain. They waited in a small family room that smelled of coffee and sanitizer. Jonathan paced. Rachel wrote one line in a notebook she had slipped into her bag. "We're looking. We will find." The doctor returned with careful eyes. Jonathan, I'm sorry. You're not a match. Your blood type and the cross match don't fit. Jonathan stared at the floor. She is my mother. How can I not help her? Rachel touched his sleeve. You are helping. We keep moving.
Calls began.
Jonathan phoned relatives he hadn't seen in years. A cousin in Boston, no match. A cousin in Dallas, wrong blood type. 2 older uncles, not healthy enough. Meanwhile, the hospital placed Evelyn on the transplant list, but the wait time was uncertain. The doctor did not hide the truth. Time matters. A living donor would be best. Each day had a shape. Morning, dialysis. Afternoon, tests and quiet. Evening, hope and fear sitting side by side. Jonathan read aloud from a magazine even when Evelyn drifted asleep, as if words could hold the room together. Rachel wiped Evelyn's forehead with a warm cloth and hummed the tiny waltz that once calmed her. The housekeeper brought videos of the twins smiling and clapping. Jonathan showed them to Evelyn until her eyes brightened. Beautiful, she whispered. My little joy. At night, Rachel went home for 1 hour to tuck the twins into bed, then returned to the hospital with fresh clothes and a thermos of tea. Grace from the community center dropped off sandwiches for nurses and a card signed by 10 women. We're praying. Start where you are. We're with you. On the 4th day, the doctor met them in the hallway with a folder. We can continue to search the registry, but it may take time. Any friend or family member can ask to be tested. Jonathan's voice came low. I've called everyone. Rachel watched Jonathan's hands, strong but shaking. She turned to the doctor. Test me. Jonathan looked up fast, startled. Rachel. Please, Rachel said, meeting the doctor's eyes. Today. The doctor nodded. We'll draw blood now. He studied her face. Are you sure you want to know, even if it's yes? Yes, Rachel said. Especially if it's yes. They took her downstairs. The needles stung. The bandage pressed warm against her skin. She returned to the room and sat by Evelyn. Tell me a good memory, she said. Evelyn's voice was a thread, but it held. Summer. Lemonade. A blue dress. Jonathan listened, a hand over his mouth. Rachel smiled softly. We keep what we can keep. Hours stretched. The sun slid down the wall and left the room in soft gray. A nurse turned on the lamp. The doctor stepped back in and asked them to join him in a small consultation room. The table was bare. The folder lay in the center. Jonathan didn't sit. Rachel did. The doctor opened the folder and spoke clearly, without drama and without delay. Rachel is a perfect match. The room went very still. Jonathan's hand dropped to the back of the chair. Rachel folded her fingers together so they would not shake. Evelyn kept her eyes on Rachel, as if the answer was already written on her face. The doctor spoke gently. Rachel is a perfect match. That means we can schedule a transplant soon. There are risks, but the surgery is common. We will take every care. Jonathan found his voice. How soon? Within days, the doctor said. Evelyn is stable on dialysis, but time matters. Jonathan turned to Rachel.
No.
Rachel met his eyes. Yes. Jonathan shook his head. You are my wife. You are the twins' mother. I will not risk you. Rachel's voice was calm. We risk things we love when it saves someone we love. The doctor stepped back to give them space. I'll give you a moment, he said, and slipped out. Jonathan paced once, then stopped. I can't do this, Rachel. Rachel stood. This is my choice. He swallowed hard. You heard the doctor. There are risks. There are also risks if we do nothing, Rachel said softly. We know where that road leads. I will not watch Evelyn fade if I can stop it. Jonathan's shoulders dropped. He looked toward the bed. Mom. Evelyn reached for Rachel's hand. I will not take from you, she whispered. I have lived.
You have small children.
You have years ahead. Rachel knelt, so they were eye level. You gave Jonathan his life. Then you gave me a home. Let me give back. Let me love you the way you taught him to love. Tears filled Evelyn's eyes. I am afraid. Rachel nodded. I am, too. But I am sure. Jonathan pressed his fists to his forehead. He breathed out once, slow and rough, then lowered his hands. If we do this, we do it right. Every test. Every second opinion. Agreed, Rachel said. The doctor returned with a pre-op list. We'll run full labs, imaging, and a consult with a transplant counselor, he said. Rachel will meet with an independent advocate to make sure she understands and is not being pressured. Rachel's chin lifted. Good. I want that. They started at once. Blood draws, blood pressure, an EKG. A walk down the hallway to test recovery strength. A nurse asked questions about medicines, allergies, past surgeries. Rachel answered clearly. The counselor came next, kind but firm. Rachel, the counselor said, this is your body. Are you doing this by your free choice? Yes. Do you feel any pressure to do it? No, Rachel said. I feel love. Do you understand the risks? Pain, infection, a scar, time to heal? Yes. Do you have support at home after surgery? Rachel smiled a little. Jonathan will not let me lift a spoon. The counselor nodded, satisfied. Then I will sign. When the tests were done, Rachel returned to the room with a small bandage on her arm and a cup of water. Jonathan stood and took the cup from her hand as if it were heavy. Sit, he said. She sat. He sat beside her. They watched Evelyn sleep for a while, the monitor ticking a steady rhythm. Night pressed at the window again. The city felt far away, like the island had felt, only now for a different reason. Jonathan spoke first. Do you remember the office window? The chair by the light? Yes, Rachel said. The white flower. You made a hard place gentle, Jonathan said. You did that for me. You did that for her. And now you are doing this. He swallowed. I am proud of you. I am also terrified. Rachel took his hand. Both can be true. He nodded, eyes burning. Say it back. I am proud of you, Rachel said. And I am terrified, too. They both smiled at the same time, small and sad and strong. Words spread quietly through their circle. Grace stopped by with a soft blanket and a card from the community center. Tasha left a note at the desk. Standing with you. Erin slipped a paper crane into Rachel's hand. For luck, she said, voice careful but clear. The housekeeper brought a short video of the twins in matching pajamas, clapping at a song. Evelyn smiled when she saw it. My little joy, she whispered again, and for a moment her face looked like sunlight. That night, Rachel asked for the small blue notebook she had carried since the community classes began. She wrote a single sentence on a blank page. Love is not only a feeling. Love is a choice. She dated the page and closed the book. The surgery was set for the next morning. Pre-op nurses came early. Jonathan signed forms as the surgeon explained the plan, first Rachel to donate, then Evelyn to receive. 2 rooms. 2 teams. A long morning. A longer afternoon. The surgeon looked them both in the eye. We have done this many times, he said. We move with care. We move with skill. We will update you at every step. Jonathan thanked him. His voice sounded far away in his own ears. Evelyn asked for a moment alone with Rachel. Jonathan stepped into the hallway and stood with his palms on the cool glass. Inside, Evelyn took Rachel's hands. If I could choose, I would take your place. Rachel shook her head. You already took your place. You raised Jonathan. You taught him kindness. You taught him to stand. You gave me the man I love. Evelyn's tears slid into her hairline. I will spend the rest of my days thanking you. Spend them living, Rachel said. Spend them teaching the twins your songs. Evelyn smiled through tears.
Deal.
Before dawn, Rachel and Jonathan walked a quiet corridor together. The floor lights glowed low along the baseboards. An orderly pushed a cart that squeaked once, then fell silent. Jonathan stopped and turned to her. Tell me one thing to hold, he said, voice shaking. Rachel thought for a second. Hold this. I am not leaving you. I am choosing you, and her, and our children. This is part of our life, not the end of it. He nodded. Tell me one more. She reached up and straightened his collar, the way she used to do before meetings. One more. When you are afraid, breathe like we taught Evelyn by the window. In 2-3. Out 2-3. He laughed once, thin but real. Yes, ma'am. They stood there, foreheads touching for a long breath. Then the nurse called Rachel's name. She kissed Jonathan's cheek, squeezed his hand, and walked toward the lighted doors. Jonathan watched until the doors closed behind her. Back in Evelyn's room, Jonathan sat between the two beds, one waiting, one empty. He held Evelyn's hand.
She's in pre-op, he said.
Evelyn nodded. Pray with me. They did. Simple words, not long, not fancy. When they finished, Jonathan opened the Today book that Rachel had tucked under the pillow.
He wrote,
We are brave because love is here. He left the book open so the ink could dry. A nurse appeared at the door. They're ready, she said gently. We'll start now. Jonathan stood. His legs felt both heavy and hollow. He kissed Evelyn's forehead, then looked toward the hallway where the operating rooms waited. Bring her back to me, he whispered to the nurse, to the walls, to the whole building. He returned to the small family room and sat by the window. The morning shifted from gray to pale gold. People walked in and out. Coffee cooled in his cup, untouched. On the wall, a screen showed 2 case numbers moving through stages he barely understood. He folded his hands and did the only thing he could do now. He waited. The operating rooms were ready. 2 doors stood side by side, each leading to a team of surgeons. One room for Rachel, one room for Evelyn. The hallway buzzed with soft footsteps, clipped voices, the metallic smell of disinfectant. Jonathan sat in the waiting area, his hands pressed together so tightly his knuckles hurt. Every so often, he stood, walked to the glass wall, then returned to his seat. The minutes dragged like hours. Inside the first room, Rachel lay still, her face calm under the mask. The surgeons worked with steady hands, removing one of her kidneys with the care of people who knew every movement mattered. In the second room, Evelyn was prepared to receive it. Machines beeped steadily. Nurses spoke in gentle tones. Hours passed. At last, the head surgeon stepped out to Jonathan. His eyes were calm. The transplant was a success. Evelyn's body is already showing positive signs. She will need time, but she is stable. Jonathan exhaled sharply, relief shaking through him. And Rachel? The surgeon hesitated. She's struggling. Her body is weaker than we expected. She hasn't woken up yet. Jonathan's relief crumbled into fear.
No.
She's strong. She has to be. Days followed, heavy and endless. Evelyn's color slowly returned, her voice gaining strength each morning. But Rachel remained still. Machines breathed for her. Monitors marked her heart, but her eyes stayed closed. Jonathan refused to leave her side. He spoke to her as if she could hear. Remember Greece? Remember the balcony? You said happiness felt simple. Come back, so we can keep it simple. At night, he held her hand and prayed quietly. When tears slipped down his face, he let them fall onto her skin, hoping somehow they could reach her. Evelyn wept whenever she looked at Rachel. She gave me life, and now she lies silent. If I had known, I would never have allowed this. Her voice cracked, her hands shaking. Grace and the women from the community center visited. They brought flowers, candles, and a folded banner that read, We're with you, Rachel. They stood in the hallway, whispering prayers. Even the nurses paused to listen. At home, the twins grew restless. They searched for their mother's face in every doorway. The housekeeper showed Jonathan a video, their little hands reaching toward the phone, calling, Mama, Mama. Jonathan turned away quickly, his chest breaking. 1 week passed. The world grew heavy. Evelyn, now stronger, wheeled herself into Rachel's room. She held Rachel's hand and whispered, Wake up, my daughter. If you don't, this gift becomes my curse. She sobbed until Jonathan held her shoulders. That night, alone in the dim light, Jonathan sat by Rachel again. His voice was hoarse, but his words poured out, every memory alive. Rachel, do you remember the office window? You brought tea to my mother when no one else cared. Do you remember the garden walk? The mint leaves? You made her smile when I could not. Do you remember our wedding vows? You promised to stand with me, and I promised never to let go. He gripped her hand tighter. We faced lies. We faced whispers. We conquered them all. Why not now? Come back. For our children, for Mama, for me. Come back, because I cannot live without you. Tears slid down his face and landed on her skin. And then, her fingers twitched. Jonathan froze. Rachel. His voice cracked. Doctor. Nurse. She moved. Alarms chimed. Footsteps rushed in. Lights brightened. The room filled with voices, hands, checks, and machines. Slowly, painfully, Rachel's eyelids fluttered. A faint groan slipped from her lips. Jonathan dropped to his knees, sobbing with joy. She's back. Oh, God, she's back. Evelyn, brought quickly into the room, wept openly. My daughter lives. The doctor smiled. She's responding now. It will take time, but she's with us. Jonathan bent close, his forehead against Rachel's hand. I told you love is not lost. You came back. And for the first time in endless days, hope returned to the room. Rachel's recovery was slow but steady. At first, her voice was a whisper, her eyes heavy, but every day brought a little more light. Jonathan never left her side. He fed her spoonfuls of soup, brushed her hair back from her forehead, and read aloud from the Today book, filling pages she had missed with his words. One afternoon, Evelyn, now walking with a cane, came into the room holding a bouquet of fresh lilies. She sat at Rachel's bedside and wept softly. You gave me life, she said. Had I known the cost, I would never have allowed it. Rachel squeezed her hand weakly, her lips curling into a smile. Mama, you gave me love. That's all I wanted in return. Jonathan wrapped his arms around both women. For the first time in weeks, the room felt whole again. News of Rachel's sacrifice spread beyond the hospital. The women from the community center returned, carrying handmade cards and singing softly in the hallway. Nurses brought flowers from strangers who had read her story in the paper. She gave her kidney to save her mother-in-law. The headline read, A Love Beyond Blood. At home, the twins squealed when Rachel finally returned. They clapped their little hands, climbing into her lap, as if they had never doubted she would come back. Jonathan kissed her forehead. You're the strongest woman I know, he whispered. To celebrate her return, Jonathan prepared a surprise. One bright morning, he led her outside. Parked in the driveway was a brand-new Mercedes Maybach, gleaming white with a red ribbon tied across the hood. Rachel gasped. Jonathan. He handed her the keys, his eyes soft. For the woman who gave more than I could ever repay. For every mile of our journey ahead. Rachel touched the cool metal and laughed through her tears. You didn't have to. I did, he said, kissing her hand. Because you gave me everything. Later that evening, Evelyn presented Rachel with a velvet box. Inside was a delicate necklace with a tiny locket. This was mine when Jonathan was a baby, she said. Now it's yours. Wear it, and remember you're not just my son's wife. You are my daughter. Rachel hugged her tightly. Thank you, Mama. The community Rachel had helped came too, each woman bringing a small gift, a quilt stitched with their names, a book of their brave sentences, and a framed photo of the class smiling together. Rachel cried as she accepted each one. You gave me strength when I needed it most, she told them. That night, Jonathan and Rachel sat on the terrace with Evelyn beside them, the twins asleep in their cribs. The city lights blinked in the distance, but inside their hearts there was only peace. Jonathan held Rachel's hand. We faced lies. We faced whispers. We faced death itself. And still we're here. Rachel leaned on his shoulder. Because love is stronger than fear. Stronger than blood. Evelyn smiled, her eyes misty. And because we stood together. Jonathan kissed Rachel's temple, whispering, Forever, in every small way. And in that quiet night, surrounded by family, gifts, and the joy of survival, they knew the truth. Storms would come again, but their love, tested, proven, and sealed with sacrifice, would always carry them through. That brings us to the end of this video. I hope you find this story worth watching. If you do, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel for more beautiful stories, like, and share this video to your friends and loved ones. Your support and engagement encourage me to post more videos. Thanks for watching.